Hello everyone, welcome back to SuperKalam. I am your mentor and teacher Arpita Sharma, and today we are going to discuss the union budget. Now, every time what happens whenever the economic survey that we studied yesterday or the budget that we studied last year, whenever budget comes, I make notes for all of you in this format, right? I read the budget, I go through the speech of our finance minister, and I make notes for all of you. But today, what I have decided is that we are going to make notes live in the class. We are going to understand each and every data point and understand what is the meaning of that data point, interlink it, what is the impact of those schemes, the expenditures that government has fixed that we are going to incur, etc. तो उसका मतलब क्या है, what is going to be the impact, we are going to understand that. What is the interpretation, we are going to understand that. And we are going to understand how it is going to help us, how it is helping us. सो ये सारे पॉइंट्स पे आज हम क्लास को पढ़ेंगे सो दैट यू अंडरस्टैंड हाउ टू इंटरप्रेट बजट. आई वॉन्ट ऑल ऑफ यू टू अंडरस्टैंड द बजट, नॉट टू मग इट अप. रटना नहीं है, हमें समझना है. एंड दैट इज गोइंग टू बी द थीम ऑफ दिस सेशन. Now, another important point, there is going to be a surprise after 15 to 20 minutes. When you understand the core concept of budget, there will be a surprise for all of you so that you can participate in it. Okay? Let's get started, everyone. Please take out your registers. We are going to make live notes in the class. All right. So when we start with understanding the budget, what exactly is a budget? सबसे पहले हम क्या समझेंगे? We should understand that union budget, it basically is AFS. What is the meaning of AFS? It basically means it is an annual, write it down, financial statement. That is budget. इतनी बात समझ आ गई? Annual financial statement means साल की गवर्नमेंट की फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट. It is this financial statement of of the Indian government. That means that it will tell you about the revenue of the government. It will tell you about the expenditure of the government, because in democracy there is transparency. So for the upcoming fiscal year, that is for April 1st 2025 till March 31st 2026, this statement will provide you the revenue and expenditure side of the government. So we can say very safely that it is going to outline what? Outline how the government plans, how the government plans to collect and to spend money, and to spend money. Money on what? Money to achieve economic growth, social welfare, social welfare and national security, NS. This is budget. ये होता है budget. Why, you will ask कि मैम why for from April 2025 till March 31st 2026? It is a futuristic approach. Yes, budget is going to tell you how government is going to spend money or collect money in this time period. All right, but economic survey that we studied, it was the status of Indian economy in the last 12 months. तो पीछे की बात आपको सर्वे बताता है, आगे की बात आपको बजट बताता है. पास्ट में क्या हुआ, what happened in the past, that economic survey is there for it. What will happen in the future, budget is there for it. Now you understood the basic difference between survey and budget. Now let us understand the constitutional basis, because everything that happens, it has a constitutional basis, right? The constitutional basis. Article 112 of Indian Constitution basically mandates that the government has to present the budget where in the parliament. So we have understood the basics of budget, the constitutional basic and the general understanding of budget. इतना सबको समझ आ गया? ठीक है, this much is right. Now when our finance minister started giving the budget, presenting the budget, she talked about the aim and the objective of the budget. So basically, first, when she started off the speech, she mentioned about Gurajada Apparao. Now, this is important. Yesterday, also in the survey class, I mentioned different poets and writers and Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee also, because it was mentioned by our president in her speech. These things are very important. I made you study about Sengol also. ये छोटी छोटी चीजें जो आप skip कर जाते हो ना, that is why it is important to watch the budget session live. So I watched the budget session live so that I can collect all these small things which are important for prelims. आपको लगेगा अरे छोटी सी बात है, but नहीं, prelims में यहीं से question आएगा and you will wonder Ma'am, UPSC asks question from anywhere. No, it is also watching the budget session. Okay. So she mentioned about a very famous line that Gura Jada Apparao sir used to mention. He was a Telugu poet and playwright. He used to say, Deshamante mati kadoe, Deshamante manushaloe, which means country does not mean mere soil. मिट्टी ही आपका नेशन नहीं है सिर्फ. कंट्री ऑल्सो इम्प्लाइज पीपल, उसमें रहने वाले लोग भी वही उसी नेशन का एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट कंपोनेंट है. And that is why she said that this year's budget's aims or objectives will be to accelerate growth, to secure inclusive development. Now, this inclusive development is important. A lot of times in prelims, in PYQs, prelims previous year questions, this inclusive development topic has been asked. Even in mains, this topic has been asked in GS paper 3. Syllabus में तो properly लिखा हुआ inclusive development. That is why it is important to study PYQ. And to increase spending power of rising middle class. And that is why you would see that tax slabs have changed. आपको पता है कि अब 12 लाख पर एनम तक की इनकम पे टैक्स नहीं लगेगा. That is a good change, good announcement in the budget. To invigorate private sector investment and to uplift the household sentiments, to uplift their investments. This is particularly the aim or the objective of this year's budget. Now, she also mentioned that to fulfill these aims and objectives, we need engines, we need growth. Growth होगी तभी तो ये objective पूरे होंगे. When there is growth, only then the objectives will get fulfilled. And for that, there are four engines which are going to drive the growth: agriculture, MSME, investment, and exports. These are the four engines which are going to drive the growth so that we can attain the objective. What will be the fuel of this engine? Inclusivity. ये वर्ड दूसरी बार यूज हुआ है उनकी स्पीच में. दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट. एंड what is the destination, the end goal, what we are going to achieve through these objectives? Viksit Bharat. And yesterday also our president said that we are going to become developed by 2047. ये हमारा aim है, ये हमारा target है. Viksit Bharat means developed India. Okay. अभी इंटरलिंकेज समझ आ गया. नाउ यू अंडरस्टूड द इंटरलिंकेज बिटवीन दीज पॉइंट्स. नाउ आवर फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर टॉक्ड अबाउट the aim of the budget. She said that the budget aims transformative reforms. Whatever reforms we are going to bring in, we are going to make them transformative. Reform, perform, transform. This was mentioned by our honorable president also. Reform, perform, transform. And same thing was mentioned in our budget speech also. Across 6 domains, reforms will be brought across 6 domains. What are those 6 domains? Taxation, power sector, mining, regulatory reforms, financial sector, urban development. These are the 6 domains where reforms are going to be made by the budget. And these reforms will be made by different schemes, different programs, plans. We are going to discuss that also. तो अभी तक क्लियर लग रहा है, सिंपल लग रहा है समझना, ठीक है. नाउ लेट्स मूव अहेड, आगे बढ़ते हैं. Now, when we talk about our budget, basically our finance minister talked about different kind of development measures. She said that these measures that we are going to take, that means the steps that we are going to take to bring about these reforms, to bring about development, it will be spread across 10 broad areas. What are those 10 broad areas? कहाँ कहाँ पर रिफॉर्म होने वाला है? एग्रीकल्चरल ग्रोथ, रूरल प्रॉस्पेरिटी, inclusivity, inclusive growth path, manufacturing and manufacturing sector, so that we can strengthen our make in India spirit, supporting MSMEs, employment led development. Whatever reforms, schemes, programs, projects will be launched, we have to make sure that we are providing employment, investing in people, economy, innovation, securing energy supplies, promoting exports, nurturing innovation. That means skill development, because we saw that future skill index में हमारी ranking थोड़ी कम थी with respect to innovation. That is why we are going to focus on that. And these all things will be done keeping in mind 4 aspects: Garib, youth, Annadata, and Nari, which was mentioned in last year's budget also. The poor, the youngsters, the farmers, and women and other vulnerable group of people. ठीक है, यहां तक आपको इंटरलिंकेज समझ आ गया. सो फार व्हाट आई हैव ट्राइड टू मेक यू अंडरस्टैंड इज, अभी तक मैं क्या समझाने की कोशिश कर रही हूं? आई एम ट्राइंग टू मेक यू अंडरस्टैंड सो फार दैट these are the themes of the budget this year. बेसिकली ये सब चीजें दिमाग में रखी गई हैं फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर के द्वारा. ठीक है. नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड द नेक्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट. नाउ इट विल कम विद नंबर्स. सो वी आर गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट the key financial numbers in budget, and this is going to help you become analytical. अब आपको मैं थोड़ा सा एनालिसिस करना सिखा रही हूँ, हाउ टू डू एनालिसिस. And this is going to be important for both 2025, 26 and 27 aspirants also. So I am going to interpret it. Basically in the budget we have seen that there is an increase in, write it down, this year there is an increase in capital expenditure. बजट में कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर में इंक्रीज हुआ है. सो इट इज फ्रॉम 9.49 लाख करोड़ in 2023-24 to 11.21 lakh crore in 25-26. This is the increase. Now what does it mean? इसका मतलब क्या है ये समझना जरूरी है. When I say capital expenditure has increased, what will it mean? It means that government spending has increased. Government spending has increased on what? Because it is a capital expenditure. That means spending money on vehicles, right, tangible goods, etc. So here it means that government spending on infrastructure like roads, like railways, like power has increased. Okay, यानी कि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पे खर्चा बढ़ रहा है. दैट इज अ टू सम एक्सटेंट गुड साइन ऑल्सो, है ना. आपको ये बात भी देखनी पड़ेगी. देर आर ऑल aspects of a particular coin. Now second important thing in the budget that we noticed was that fiscal deficit in the budget this year is reduced. So it was 5.6% in 23-24. Now it is 4.4% in 25-26. Now what does it mean? इसका मतलब क्या है? That means that government borrowing, write it down, government borrowing is less. So the money that government borrows, it is decreasing it, and it is focusing more on, write it down, focusing more on financial stability. तो हम अपने loans को कम कर रहे हैं. That is a good sign again. We are reducing our loans, we are depending on the loans less, है ना. तो this was the first aspect. Now the question is, what exactly is fiscal deficit, ma'am? ये क्या होता है term? हमको तो पता ही नहीं है. What is this? We don't know about it. So now it is very simple. It means total expenditure minus total receipts. Total receipts excluding borrowings. Yesterday I explained you ना कि कभी कभी हमारे रेवेन्यू में हमने जो पैसा लोन पे दिया था वो पैसा हमें वापस मिलता है, उसको भी रिसीट में डाल देते हैं, राइट. हियर whatever money we gave as borrowing to someone else, as loan to someone else, when we receive it back we will not include it in the receipt. So total expenditure minus total receipt excluding borrowing will be fiscal deficit. So basically it is showing you how much the government, write it down, it is showing you how much the government needs to borrow, needs to borrow to meet its spending needs. That is fiscal deficit. Okay, and fiscal deficit for 25-26 is 25-26 का fiscal deficit क्या है? 15.68 lakh crore. That means 4.4% of our GDP. So if fiscal deficit high, that means more borrowing. Write it down, more borrowing. That means higher debt. ठीक है. That means इसका मतलब क्या होगा? It also means higher inflation. That mean, or you can say inflation risk. अगर ज्यादा है फिजिकल डेफिसिट, आप उधार ज्यादा लोगे, डेफिसिट है ना, कमी हो रही है पैसे की, डेट ज्यादा बढ़ेगा तो इन्फ्लेशन का रिस्क ज्यादा होगा. बट इफ द फिजिकल डेफिसिट इज लोअर, like 4.4% of GDP, that means better financial management, which will help in improving India's credit ranking or rating also. It also means improvement in, everything is interconnected, improvement in India's credit rating, that too globally. Okay, now other than fiscal deficit, there are other terms also. For example, I'll just write it down over here. For example, we have revenue deficit. What is the meaning of revenue deficit? It means when the government spends, it spends more on running expenses. On running expenses. Now, what is the meaning of running expenses? It means salaries, it means pensions, interest, etc. All right. Then it earns, जितना आप गवर्नमेंट कमा रही है उतना उससे ज्यादा रनिंग एक्सपेंसेस पे खर्चा हो रहा है, तो वो रेवेन्यू डेफिसिट हो गया. Okay, so it also has been reduced, by the way, in the budget this year 2025-26. It has reduced to 1.5% of GDP. Okay, then we have next term, which is known as primary deficit. What is the meaning of primary deficit? It means fiscal deficit minus all the interest payments. ठीक है, ऑन दी पास्ट लोन्स, पहले जो लोन्स लिए होंगे उस पर जितने भी इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट दिया उसको माइनस कर दो फिजिकल डेफिसिट से, यू विल गेट प्राइमरी डेफिसिट, विच इज राइट नाउ 0.8% ऑफ GDP in 2025-26. And when there is a low primary deficit, it means less reliance on borrowing. That is a good sign also. ठीक है, यहां तक पॉइंट क्लियर हो गया. सो वी हैव अंडरस्टूड वन एस्पेक्ट, हमने एक एस्पेक्ट समझ लिया. नाउ लेट्स गो टू द अनदर एस्पेक्ट. आई विल जस्ट क्रिएट अ लाइन ओवर हियर. ठीक है, अब दूसरे एस्पेक्ट पे जाते हैं. नाउ नेक्स्ट एस्पेक्ट वाज दिस पर्टिकुलर ग्राफ. आई विल शो यू द ग्राफ ऑल्सो. ठीक है, सब लोग यहां पर देखना ध्यान से. Where does the government get money from? Rupee comes from, rupee goes to. Rupee comes from. What are the sources from which we are getting the money? So write it down the heading. Where does the government get money from? ठीक है, अब यहां पर अगर हम देखेंगे, if we see, the first is direct taxes. Direct taxes, that is income tax and the corporate tax. It is contributing the most. Write it down. Contributes the most. तो डायरेक्ट टैक्स से ज्यादा पैसा आ रहा है हमें. इनकम टैक्स हो यहाँ पर 22%. ओवर हियर यू कैन सी 22% इनकम टैक्स. ओके, तो यहाँ पर एंड वी हैव द कॉर्पोरेशन टैक्स 17%. डायरेक्ट टैक्स से ज्यादा पैसा आ रहा है. देन नेक्स्ट इज GST. GST इज ऑल्सो ग्रोइंग वेरी स्टेडिली. ग्रोइंग स्टेडिली. Okay, as that shows that tax compliance is improving. Tax compliance is improving. Okay, so we have over here, यहाँ पर आप देखोगे कि GST भी हो गया 18%. Then what do we have? Borrowings. Write it down. Borrowings are lower this year. Are lower this year, which means we have better financial discipline. Financial discipline. ठीक है, तो this is where the money is coming from. Now the next graph that you'll see over here is where does the government is spending money. पैसा खर्च कहाँ हो रहा है. तो I'll just create another slide for you so that we can make a note of it. और ये लिखते जाओ. This is how you also analyze the charts and graphs. Data interpretation भी अच्छा होगा इससे. ठीक है, तो write it down. Where does the government spend money? Money कहाँ स्पेंड कर रही है गवर्नमेंट पैसा. तो यहां पर हम क्या लिखेंगे? फर्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट इज बिगेस्ट एक्सपेंसेस द इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट्स ऑन पास्ट लोन्स. कैसे पता चला? हाउ डिड वी कम टू दिस कंक्लूजन? तो आप यहां पर देखोगे द बिगेस्ट एक्सपेंस 22%. ठीक है, तो यहां पर आप देखोगे 12.76 lakh crore. This is why basically this is why reducing fiscal deficit is very important, because reliance बढ़ जाता है ना लोन पे. then यहाँ पर आप लिखोगे defense budget increased because we are modernizing our defense sources, cyber security pe we are spending money. Then next is higher infrastructure spending. In the starting only we saw that our government is spending a lot on infrastructure, high speed rail, smart cities, etc. All right, तो ये important aspects हो जाते हैं. Now let us have a look at different kind of schemes that our government is launching. So see, whenever scheme or whenever programs are launched, we also spend money on it. For example, अगर हम यहाँ पर एक note बनाए, when we make a note, let's write down a particular note over here. तो यहाँ पर हम heading लिखेंगे key sectoral allocation, allocations and government priorities. चलो let's start making a note of it. First of all, we are spending money on infrastructure. ज़्यादा पैसा हमारा infrastructure पे जा रहा है. More money we are spending on infrastructure, right? So what are we doing over here? 11.21 lakh crore rupees we are spending on capital expenditure. That means our focus is on highways. Our focus is on metro. Our focus is on digital infrastructure. Digital infrastructure. ठीक है. Next, what do we have? We have PM Gati Shakti project. PM Gati Shakti project. What are we doing through this project? We are modernizing the ports, roads, and railways. Next, we have rupees 54,865 crores. We are allocating it for Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Okay, that is housing for all. Then next key spending is on, write it down the heading, agriculture. Agriculture and rural development. Rural development. Okay, what is happening over here? We have PM Kisan. Here, how much money we are spending? Rupees 63,500 crore. We are providing direct farmer support, DFS. Then we are spending 17,143 crore on what? On crop diversification. On crop diversification. We are spending this money on organic farming. Organic farming. Okay. Then next we are spending 12,242 crores. 12,242 crores on what? Crop insurance scheme. Crop insurance scheme. Okay. Then we are spending money on what? We are spending money on, write it down, health and education. We are spending money on this scheme, Ayushman Bharat. This is very important, health insurance for the poor. Then we are spending rupees 98,311 crore on health infrastructure and medical colleges. We are spending rupees 41,250 crore on, write it down, Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, which is school education, right? Then हमारे पास एक और है PM Shri Schools. PM Shri Schools पे we are modernizing the government schools here. So that is why we are spending 7,500 crore here. Then we are spending money on defense and national security. We are modernizing it. We are using cyber defense. We are integrating AI, border security mein. So this is again important. Then we are spending money on climate and renewable energy. For that we have PM Solar, PM Solar rooftop scheme to promote clean energy, right? So that is why these are the areas, core areas where our money is getting spent right now. In core areas mein paisa spend ho raha hai. And then we have different other schemes, like we have Gyan Bharatam mission, we have national geospatial mission, we have gene bank for crops germplasm, we have PM research fellowship. All these schemes we'll be sharing a mind map, a document also for all of you on our telegram community, where we can talk about these particular schemes. So all these schemes, all these core areas where money is getting spent, you need to understand it. ये सारे स्कीम समझना क्यों जरूरी है? Because this is how our economy will grow, right? So if I have to sum it up, सो व्हाट विल बी द टेक अवे? देखो, व्हेन इट कम्स टू प्रीलिम्स, जब प्रीलिम्स की बात आती है, यू हैव टू मेमोराइज द इंपॉर्टेंट स्कीम्स. The, for example, any new scheme that has been launched, just how we analyze the tax trends, you have to do the same analysis. ठीक है? एंड देन फॉर essay and interview and for मेंस आंसर राइटिंग ऑल्सो दिस डेटा कैन बी यूज, जो मैंने आपको डेटा लिखवाया है यहाँ पर, राइट? सो दिस इज गोइंग टू बी वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू, बिकॉज इफ आई हैव टू सम अप the budget this year, fiscal prudence with growth is the theme of budget, because we are reducing deficit, we are increasing infrastructure spending, we are supporting agriculture and MSMEs, we are promoting AI and digital economy. This is something that you need to focus on. ये आपको पॉजिटिव पार्ट निकालना है बजट से. डिजिटल इकोनॉमी पे हमने काफी फोकस किया, बिकॉज इवन इन क्लाइमेट यू विल सी देर इज नेशनल ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन मिशन विच वी आर कंटिन्यूइंग. It was not launched abhi, it was launched pehle, but we are continuing it. Then in the MSME sector we have the Make in India MSME sector से related PLI scheme है, जिसको हम expand कर रहे हैं. We are focusing on semiconductors, we are focusing on AI innovation. So these are the key sectoral allocations that you should know about. All right, यहाँ तक सबको points clear हो गए? I hope points are clear so far. So this is something, see, union budget basically outlines the government's economic roadmap. We are focusing on fiscal management, sectoral allocations, growth strategies, and this was the structured breakdown for all of you to understand budget. Let me know if you have any doubts. Now I have a surprise for all of you. So what you have to do is you have to scan this QR code, because after understanding this budget there is a mini mock test for all of you to participate in, and this mini mock test is going to help you a lot to solidify your learning from the budget today. तो इस टेस्ट को जरूर देना, एंड शेयर योर स्कोर्स ऑल्सो इन द कॉमेंट सेक्शन विद मी. थैंक यू सो मच एवरीवन.